Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is about transformation. And the question is it time to upgrade your life? Generally speaking, when people come to me, they are ready to upgrade their life. Whether they're coming to watch my videos on YouTube, or they're coming for a human design reading, or they want to invest in coaching, they want to transform, they want to upgrade, they want to up-level. And this is great because we're in a continual process of evolution and growth, provided that we are dedicated to that path. There's a lot of forces, both external and internal, that are aiming to keep us actually from evolving and growing and becoming the empowered people that is actually our birthright. And so we have to be purposeful and conscious and intentional about our evolution. I became a human design specialist and a quantum human design specialist because I understood the power of the system as a transformational tool. And when I do readings for people and I mentor people, I say, one of the first things I say is, I'm here to help you use human design to transform and evolve your life. I'm not here to give you a lesson in human design. I provide videos for that often. But even inside of the videos, I still am always focused on how can you use this system to transform your life. Back when I was a professor at Columbia, I didn't really get this distinction. I didn't really understand it. I was very dedicated to social justice, and I was very interested in consciousness, the expansion of consciousness. I was raised by a feminist mom who was really into consciousness raising. And so when she became a feminist and I was in my teenage years, we looked into that and unpacked what were the imprints of a patriarchal culture on us. And it was very revealing. It was also disruptive and disturbing a lot of the time as well, both for us and for the people around us. Prior to that, my parents had been involved in the civil rights movement. I grew up in an African-American neighborhood. And so for me, the whole process of consciousness and of shifting our relationship to social structure, to the economy, to the law, and so on was deeply embedded in my awareness from a very young age. Even so, when I was teaching as a professor, it was largely about the transmission of information and then students taking in the information, not really just regurgitating it. I always inspired them and required them to take the material and make of it something of their own, for them to really think about it and to work with it. But I did not understand the process of transformation back then. And it's not really something that is so much built into the academy. At least it certainly wasn't back when I was teaching. I was exposed to metaphysics when I was considering leaving the academy, and the idea that you create your own reality. And this ran headlong into a lot of my beliefs about kind of how things were structured, how reality worked. And I practiced affirmations. I practiced focusing on what I wanted, putting my attention in that direction. And I was able to transform my life fairly rapidly doing that. But I also recognized that there were things in my own life and things in the lives of the people that I was working with where the affirmation just slid off that whole topic. There were some things that were pretty easy to change and other things that were really recalcitrant. It just didn't seem like no matter what I was trying to do with my mind and my new thoughts, I couldn't get at it. And that's when I decided to pursue becoming a clarity breathwork practitioner, because I understood when I was exposed to it that breathwork practice really opened up a door to the unconscious, and I could get at the unconscious beliefs that were creating a block for the affirmations to bounce off of, right? That's when I really understood about that. And I got very interested in what was going on in the subconscious and how it was orchestrating our experience from far below the level of our conscious awareness, and the need to actually bring things that are in the subconscious up into consciousness so that we can change it. Because as long as it's in that operating system of the unconscious, you can't really change it. It's very, very difficult. This is when I came to understand the belief change process and the personal transformation and evolutionary process very differently than I had before. I was working with clients, I was teaching in different environments with different topics, and from that I learned a tremendous amount about what worked for people and what really didn't work for people, both myself, my clients, my students, and the people in my life. And what I came to understand is it's possible for you to transform any thought, belief, emotion, perception, way of being that you've had your entire life and that you may have inherited from your family or from your ancestral line or brought in with you from your soul's journey. It really is possible to do that. And it isn't easy. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it, but it's not easy. And it's super hard to do on your own. When I was first really getting into metaphysics, I had the great good fortune to study under a man named Bob Proctor. I don't know if you know who he is. He must be really elderly now. He must be close to 90. But back then, this was, 25 years ago. And even then, he was in his 60s then. Okay, so that tells you how old he is. Anyway, he was a man who was known for teaching sales, but he was really a metaphysical teacher. And he told this story at an event I was at where he was sharing about how the metaphor that we say, God, I feel like I'm in a box, right? I'm stuck in a box. I'm trapped in a box. And he's like, you are trapped in a box. But the tricky thing is the instructions for getting out of the box are on the outside of the box. And you can't see them. You need somebody who's on the outside of the box, who can read the instructions, who can help you get out. And I really took that to heart. It really was something that spurred me to work with, and I have been doing this ever since, work with master teachers, master facilitators, and healers to help me see what I couldn't see. You don't know what you don't know. You can't see what you can't see. And so it's super helpful to have other people both reflect back to you the power and the strength and the qualities that you have that are fantastic and magnificent, your superpowers. It's what I always do first with clients. But then also to be able to reveal the conditioning that's keeping you in that box, because so much of that is unconscious, as I was saying a moment ago. And so you need other people to help you do that. This is where information is insufficient and transformation requires more of an engagement and more of a commitment. Today, I want to share with you a 7-step process of transformation. This is like a schematic of how I work with my clients and with myself in our belief change process, in our evolutionary process, to go from where we are now to where we really want to be. So step number 1 is always the willingness and the commitment to change. Many people say that they want to change, they long for change, they wish for change, and yet when it actually comes down to changing their lives, they don't want to do it. They're too committed to their creature comforts. They're too afraid of the unknown. They're too attached to the benefit that they get of staying in place. They're too afraid of what other people are going to think or how other people are going to react. And so the very first thing is that commitment to change for yourself. Recognizing that in order to change your life, you got to change your life. Having done my 10,000 hours with clients and teaching, I can tell you that I've seen this over and over again. People are not going to change one moment before they're ready. And there's nothing you can do to get somebody ready. They have to decide from the inside that they are ready. So the first thing I want to invite you to do is do a little assessment and evaluation for yourself about where you are right now. We want to do this with loving kindness. This is not fodder for you to beat up on yourself. But if you think about what it takes to be able to go somewhere that's different than where you are, if you had a map, right? If you had a map and you had your destination was on your map, but you didn't know where you were, you wouldn't know how to get there, right? Because you don't know how to get there from here because it's all relative. So the first thing you need to do is do an assessment for yourself and an evaluation. Starting with some positive things first, like what has been working? Where do you think you've already developed capacities? What have you learned? Where are you now compared to where you were 5 years ago, right? Or 10 years ago? You've grown and evolved so much since then, for sure. So first, starting out with that piece. The 8 pillars of feminine sovereignty can really help you with this. And if you're not familiar with them, you can watch this video right here where I go into some depth about the 8 pillars of feminine sovereignty and also connect them with human design. The pillars help you to see what are the capacities you've already developed in your life, or what are your gifts and talents that you brought in with you. And then what is it that you can identify as like, oh, I still need to grow in this area. Maybe you need to grow in your ability to communicate with others without getting triggered. Maybe you need to grow in managing your own energy so that you can be in command of your energy. So the 8 pillars help you to do that. Human design helps us to see what are the gifts and talents that we came in with that are the definition in our chart, depending on how we've been conditioned to experience that definition. That's really important because sometimes people have been conditioned to really experience the negative aspect of their definition. But definition is a good place to start and to really understand that. And then also to look at how it helps you understand your conditioning, where you've been conditioned. I use both of these all the time with clients when we're first starting to assess where they're at, because they're really, really helpful tools for that. As you begin to understand your conditioning, you can see some of the things that have been in your way. And you want to be able to bring those up into your conscious awareness, as I was saying a moment ago, so that they're not orchestrating your experience from deep in your subconscious. And so bringing those up so that you can understand, because you can't really change something until you know what it is. Another important part of this is to unpack what your investment is in having whatever this block is, this limitation, this conditioning, because there's always an investment. If you didn't have an investment in it anymore, you wouldn't be doing it anymore. You would have evolved out of it. Just as I'm sure you've evolved out of other conditioning that you've had that you realized didn't serve you and you decided to let it go. But the one that's still in place, that's still kind of confining you, keeping you trapped inside that box, is one that you're invested in some way, whether that is an investment to your family, like you don't want to hurt your family, an investment to staying safe in some way by not becoming completely visible or by hiding the parts of you that feel more vulnerable. Or you could be invested in having other people like you or approve of you or recognizing you or fitting in some way, even though it doesn't actually feel good to you. These are a few of the very many investments that you might have. So you want to unpack that a bit and get a sense of that. Where have you been? Where are you right now? What are your strengths? And then what are the things that have been in your way? What are your investments with them? Number 3 is to make a new decision. Okay. You need to make a new decision in order to open up the portal for new choices to be made. Because if you're still invested in that old decision, then you won't be able to make a change. So you have to make a new decision. And this is really often about bringing yourself up to date with your life, because we made a lot of decisions when we were young people, when we didn't have a lot of command over our time, we maybe of our own physical bodies, certainly of our activities and so on. So bringing yourself up to date about what are your values now? What matters to you most now? What do you care about? What do you want to put your precious life force energy into? And then make a decision to direct your life there, rather than having it continue to be colonized by things that have happened in the past and the decisions that you made, maybe when you were afraid or when you felt you didn't have very many options, and that decision went into your subconscious and it's been operating ever since. So then you need to make a new decision. Step number 4 is to prepare for the ripple effect. It's really important to prepare for this. I think this gets left out a lot, because when you make a new decision, When you've committed to your change, where you've assessed where you're at and you know what you want to be different, and you make a new decision that you're going to move in the direction of what you really want in your life, and you're going to be recreating who you are and recreating your life, you need to understand that certain things are going to move away from your life. Now, I know that might sound obvious, but we don't always anticipate it. So this could be people who you've been friends with, who you're no longer in alignment with them. You may have been tolerating things in certain relationships that just aren't working. This could be with a close beloved. It could be with a partner. It could be with another family member. It could be with a coworker. There could be things in your job, in your work, in your business, that you're realizing just are no longer in alignment, and they're going to have to drop away. It could be the place where you live. It could be food that you eat or clothing that you wear. Because when you make a new decision, it's going to ripple out into all different areas of your life, and change will occur. And that's a good thing. But the process can be challenging, because here's the thing. A lot of those things that are going to start dropping away are things that you've relied upon in some way. You've held on to them for some reason, and now you're letting go. But it's like, oh no, it might feel like the ground is falling away underneath you, right? And so you need to be prepared for that. Prepare for that ripple effect. Step number 5, which is actually also part of step number 4, is to build your tolerance for discomfort. And that's for your discomfort and also for the discomfort of the people around you. Human design can be a really big ally for you here, because human design can help you to identify the places where you have habitually been influenced by other people. And that has to do with both your definition and your openness, what's colored in and what's white on your chart, and how you experience that energy. Whether you are experience the more awakened and more empowered aspects of it, or more of the shadow aspects, or more of the disempowered aspects of it. But this is how human design can really be used as a transformational tool, because it can help you to identify these things that you're maybe not so aware of yourself. It's very common, for example, for me to talk with people about their open emotional solar plexus or their open G center, and how they're influenced by other people through those open centers, or their open will center. All of those can be key places to be looking at to see, oh, okay, I really need to build my stamina, because as I, for example, move out of a codependent relationship with people, which is what a lot of people with open emotional solar plexuses do, because they're trying to keep the peace so that they don't have to tolerate other people's negative emotions, right? It's very common, right? Then when you start to say, I'm no longer going to be the peacemaker, right? I'm not going to do that anymore. Other people can really get uncomfortable with that, because they're used to you playing that role. Now, here's the thing, and this is where you need to build your capacity, is that when you do that, you have to build, or what really benefits you is when you build your inner core strength, your inner energy, your central core. And this is something that I do myself every single day. I am constantly building my own core strength, my own radiance, my own energy field, so that I am not impacted so much by other people's energy. I have 5 open centers, okay? I only have 4 defined centers, and I have an open emotional center. So I, in the past, have been really influenced by other people's energy. But the more that I build that central core and I build my radiance, the less susceptible I am to other people. And that's really possible, but you have to learn how to do it. Most people don't know how to do it. Most of us never got taught. I never got taught. I had to teach myself, and I had to go and find practices in a variety of different modalities that could help me do that. I do this a lot with Kundalini Yoga at this point. But you find whatever works for you to build the kind of your own sense of your own core and your own energetic field. I have provided a couple of videos about this. You can go and watch this last one about the that I did on the equinox as a gift for the equinox. And then I did another one for the solstice. And both of them have simple, doable practices from Kundalini Yoga that you can do to build this inner stability like I was talking about. So far, we've been really talking about how you're building on the inner landscape, right? You're working with your beliefs, you're working with your energy, you're working with your emotions. And now it's time to spiral outward from that inner work out to taking new actions in your life. You begin to spiral outward into your actions, into your relationships, into your work, into whatever your daily life contains. Now, one thing I want to encourage you to do is to take small steps initially. Do things that don't have a lot of weight on them, where there is not a lot at stake. Try things out initially that are different from, like just for an example, if we go back to this open emotional solar plexus situation, if you have tended to be the peacemaker in the past, try just being quiet, just not saying anything. You don't have to try to make people be different. You can just be quiet. Or you could be like, you know what? I think I'm going to go read a book right now. Or I think I'm going to go and watch a movie. Okay? I hope you feel better soon. And you just extricate yourself from that situation. Now, for some people around you, that might feel like a big move. But for you, it can be very empowering just to be like, I'm going to take care of myself and I'm not going to be impacted by other people's emotional energy that doesn't feel good to me. Just like a new plant, you don't want to put too much pressure on it right away. You want to make sure it has enough sun and enough water and not too much wind and not too much cold, right? So that's kind of the new you as you're taking new actions. So step by step, taking care of yourself as you go along. You'll be making more and more new choices based on a new sense of who you are, a new self-understanding, and a new self-concept. And step number 7 is then to spiral back inside and reflect on, how are you feeling now? How have things been going in your life? How have other people been responding? How have there been people who've dropped away? Other elements of your life that have dropped away? Be prepared, they will. And there are others that have come in because they're more in alignment with where you are right now. Have new people come into your life? Has new work come in? Have new things that you're interested in, that you're excited about come in? And what's becoming visible to you now that was there all along, but you couldn't see it or you couldn't feel it, or for you it felt out of reach? Oh, that's not for me, right? But maybe now it is. What's becoming possible for you? Are you living more in alignment with your design? Are you living out your type, your strategy, your authority? The other aspects of your design that you discovered were superpowers for you, like maybe aspects of your circuitry or something about the different parts of the centers or particular gates that you've learned are dynamic and empowering for you. Have you been working on different aspects of the pillars of feminine sovereignty that you are building some new capacities? Like, really take the time on occasion to reflect and pat yourself on the back. Share with friends. Walking side by side with friends through an evolutionary process can be super helpful. They have to be in a similar vibration than you, though, right? Because if they're not, they're going to actually hold you back. So you have to be coming together with people who are really going to support you along your way. Then the final one is really just to repeat as necessary and desired, right? Is to go back to making another commitment to change. Let's say you feel you have done your job and transformed the thing that you set out to transform at the beginning, right? And you've gotten to a new place in your life and you're feeling a little bit like you're at a plateau. Then you begin the process again and you make a new commitment to yourself, a new change that you want to make. You assess again where you are and what's in your way. And then you make a new decision, right? And you prepare for the ripple effect. And then you begin to build your capacities to be able to do that. And you take steps forward and you see what happens, right? You just keep doing it over and over. And this is how transformation happens. Now, as I said before, this isn't always the easiest thing to do in your life, and because you can't necessarily read the instructions that are on the outside of the box. I wanted to provide a support for you that you can take and utilize on your own. And that is my Activate Your Lightworker Leadership Codes. Okay. And the reason I named it that is that I believe that if you're in my online community, you're already a lightworker, you're already interested in energy, you are interested in human design, you're interested in evolution, or you wouldn't be here. So you're a lightworker, in my opinion, and you are wanting to take on more leadership if you want to transform your life. That's really, for me, leadership always starts with the self. It always starts with taking more leadership, taking command in our lives. Taking command is like the action of sovereignty, is when we take more command. And sovereignty is developed as we take more leadership and we build our capacity to be more in our lives. And so this Lightworker Leadership Codes activation is going to help you to get in touch with some of the codes that you have already in your human design chart, help understand how you can utilize the 8 pillars of feminine sovereignty better. And so I'll be teaching about all of that. So it's a 4-part series. The first 3 are based in content, and they're about leadership, about human design, and about feminine sovereignty. The last one is an interactive session. I'm offering it twice a day so that you can join us if you're in Europe, as well as if you're more in the United States, in Australia. And I hope that you will join us for that. And it's free. This is my gift to you. I am doing a deep dive session on Saturday following this 4-part series. That is something you need to have an extra registration for. It is $47. And it's a 3-hour intensive for those who really want to take this on and make it real in their lives. And so you can find out more about all of that. The link is down in the description below. It's just womenevolvingourworld.com/lightworker activation. That's all one word. It's free. I invite you to join us, and there will be recordings if you can't make it live. And I would love to meet with you in this way and help to really stimulate more leadership in yourself, stimulate this belief change process, which requires leadership, to stimulate your ability to get yourself out of that box, break out of that box, unleash thyself, as I always say, and to empower yourself to become more free, to step more into your potential, to see the opportunities that are actually there, and then to have the chutzpah, the inner metal, the courage to step forward and do the things that are really calling to you. So please do join me if that is appealing to you, and I will see you there. Many blessings, much love.